Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto anime review. This one's going to be for episode 155, which is called Mitsuki's Rainy Day. So the Boruto anime is finally back after weeks upon weeks of being off the air because of the virus. But we're back now, and we're back for the next bunch of weeks onwards. I don't think there's going to be any more delays, I guess, but well, we're back for at least the next bunch of weeks that I think that have been confirmed, and that we have this episode, we have the Chocho episode next week, and then the week after that, episode 157, is going to be the start of the Kara arc, so getting back to manga content. So in terms of episodes, it hasn't been that many episodes since we finished up the Mujika Bandit arc, but in terms of months, time, it has been quite a while since the last few episodes, but I think they've done a pretty good job here. It'll be interesting to see how the quality of upcoming episodes is, in terms of like, have they had more or less time to work on the episodes because of the delays and so on? Has it changed, like maybe how many sort of fillery type episodes they have to have or not? That's the sort of stuff I'd like to know. But anyway, let's get into episode 155, because this was actually a pretty good sort of solo episode that I think a lot of fans would typically call a filler, but I think this one was actually had enough to it. Had a nice serious tone to it, in that it was a serial killer investigation. Mitsuki got to be the sort of focused on character here, kind of linking into his development of, you know, him being a little bit more open with people, forming sort of friendships, but him also having to, in this case, deal with the idea of here's someone he actually sort of gets on with, but that person ends up being the villain. Yes, it was very obvious, I think, in terms of how they portrayed it over the course of the episode. There was no real mystery at all, that it was Sammy Dari who was the kind of rainy day murderer or killer, or whatever way you want to call him. But at the same time, I don't really think the episode was trying to hide it all that much. It was like, you as the audience are meant to know that it is Sammy Dari, so you're waiting to see when Mitsuki figures it out, what reaction is he going to have? Is he going to stay cool, or is he going to be shocked by the response? And I like the way they did it, in that Mitsuki typically isn't like emotionally shaken by these type of things, and does tend to deal with things in a more sort of detached way, and we saw that again. But I like the way they did it, in terms of like showing you the characters actually getting on quite well at the start. Mitsuki saves his life, and you know, Mikazuki gets on really well with him, and so on. So Mitsuki's cat gets on well, and then the fact that the name of the cat is the exact same as his sister's, and then there's like a slight hint earlier on the episode of like, he's like, I think he refers to his sister as if she's not around anymore, so you know that there's maybe some sort of a problem, and he's not just here to like visit his sister, that there's actually a problem. And then, you know, the weakest part of the episode probably was just how quickly they brought the other side of the plot together, of like, this guy runs one of the other corporations. It's a chemical corporation, and there was a chemical explosion because he ordered stuff to be done in a specific way that led to sort of poor health and safety practices, which led to the explosion and the death of Sammy Dari's sister. And he's kind of gotten away with it all this time. So Sammy Dari initially just went on a quest for truth to find out what happened, but ended up kind of becoming a serial killer along the way, killing everyone as he went along with it. But he never just lost himself to just becoming a serial killer. The fact that we saw him injured at the start, as Mitsuki sort of points out, was showing that he never fully just became this, you know, heartless murderer, that he realized what he was doing was wrong, and sort of seemingly left himself open to be sort of counterattacked with his last victim, and is having so many of these doubts because he fundamentally, as a character, just cared about his little sister. And Boruto Mitsuki can understand that, because he's been around Boruto so much, and Boruto has such a great relationship with Himawari. So Mitsuki does actually get that, even though he himself doesn't have a sister himself. So I think that was actually, you know, pretty well done. Then there was also the mystery surrounding, oh, what is his jutsu? There was a little bit of a tease of like, why does he have to do it on a rainy day? The few times they show it initially, it's like, wait, what has he done here? He clearly does hand signs and something happens and everyone just collapses. But they visually don't give you anything until they finally reveal what it is. And I thought it was actually quite a cool reveal of it's this very subtle water jutsu where he puts sort of chakra needles in raindrops and then I suppose can direct them at people to sort of, I guess, either disrupt jutsu or just completely like knock people out or kill them, in that it's basically him firing like water needles at people to kill them. So very cool, kind of subtle, lethal jutsu. I definitely like that as just, here's a speciality jutsu that we haven't seen before, but that's actually very cool, that even someone like Mitsuki didn't initially understand at all what it was the first time. And then the fact that like he tries to kill himself with it at the end, and Mitsuki sort of saves him again, but he's in a coma. It was interesting that they did end the episode by teasing that, like, oh, he actually is awake again. So might we get another sort of follow-up to this filler at some point with another episode focused on him? I'm not exactly sure, but you know, it was nice to have another episode with like Mitsuki's cat, and this seems like at least something that they could come back to at some point. I think, like I said, the only weakness was probably just that I think the incorporation of Mitsuki's cat into this was only like so-so, in that, okay, Sammy Dari bought the cat a collar with a bell, and then Mitsuki later puts that collar on Sammy Dari's wrist when he's in a coma, and the bell is the signifier that he's actually alive again. He's woken up from the coma. But I thought they were going to do something like Mitsuki like gives the cat to Sammy Dari as some sort of almost like replacement for his sister or something like that. That may be something they do later on, in terms of like if they come back to this, like maybe towards a time skip style thing, and Mitsuki is going on like a long mission and he needs someone to look after the cat. He gives it to Sammy Dari, who he knows is out there. That's maybe an option, but I don't know how well they executed that side of the plot. It was nice to see the cat again, like I said, it's a cute cat, but it just felt like, oh yeah, we need to have an episode with Mitsuki and the cat, because that was sort of the last solo Mitsuki episode that we got. Beyond that, it was a pretty, you know, just solid episode. I think there wasn't a lot of crazy action. It was just a nice, serious episode that I thought was interesting throughout, without ever jumping ahead to be one of like the absolute best episodes. So, you know, a solid return for Boruto the anime, but definitely I think people would have much preferred if we had managed to return with, say, the first episode of the Kara arc rather than this. And then especially if they're going to follow it up with a Chocho episode that looks to be focused on Chocho and Anko trying to get like sweets back or something like that, and how it relates to Chocho's you know, butterfly form and how it makes her thin when she uses it. I guess there's going to be some sort of a plot about like, well, if they don't have the sweets, she can't regain the weight that she needs to then burn off to use the butterfly jutsu. So I have my doubts about this episode, because Chocho episodes sort of tend to be the ones that are the most like, these feel indulgent. Like, she's already had a lot of solo episodes, and the writers, whatever, the animators seem to really like Chocho, whereas I think fans are like, yes, we like Chocho, but of all of the characters that we're giving solo episodes to, like, we're focusing on this again. So is this just the last hurdle we need to get over to get to the Kara arc? We'll see. I think the fact that Anko is in it could make it at least somewhat interesting if they like explore more of like what she's maybe been up to and stuff like that. But if it is very much just, you know, Chocho being Chocho and, you know, sweet food, that could be one of the weaker episodes we've seen. But yeah, solid return. I like the tone. I think was probably the best part of this, of like, I think more filler episodes of Boruto need to be like this. It's nice to have those slice of life sort of filler episodes where it's just the character doing this thing, but it's also nice to have like a solo focus on a character just solving a murder mystery, connecting with that villain, and you actually kind of caring about how it's resolved. Just nice introduction of a new jutsu, a little bit of a mystery connection, and it did what it needed to do in just one episode. And there's a tease that they could come back to it, so that's another slight bonus to add to the episode. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.